Hey y'all, welcome to Pleiadian Point of View. I'm Peyton with Peyton Energetics, and I'm a Pleiadian channel and starseed coach. So in today's video, the P's wanted to talk to us a little bit about how to navigate those times when we're feeling a little hopeless. When we get sucked into that despair, we just feel like we can't find our way out of the darkness because as the P's scan our collective consciousness, they see that so many of us are kind of having a rough time. So today they wanted to talk to us a little bit about how to move through these time periods when we're just feeling a little hopeless. But before we jump in to talking about this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. Now, as we have moved through the events of the past month or so, things have gotten a little choppy. And so you are not alone if you are feeling kind of over it. If you are sliding a little into that hopelessness, that despair, that feeling of what is the point? None of this is working. I feel you. I have so many friends who are feeling this right now that I asked the P's to give us a little pep talk. So one of the things that they wanted to talk to us a little bit is about how our spiritual process unfolds in general. Because one thing that you'll probably notice if you've been on your spiritual path for a while is that we seem to go up and down. Seems to be a bit of a roller coaster ride. So you may have noticed that there are times when it feels like you are making great progress, your life is going great, then it feels like you hit a wall or like you've gone completely back to square one. And you're not imagining it. This is actually how our spiritual process unfolds for most of us. The good news is though, we're always moving upwards. But as we move through the awakening process, we move in layers. So it's like we are moving through different membranes or veils of consciousness. So as we master one level, we hit the wall of that veil. So what happens then is it all seems to unravel. So these are those times when you start to feel hopeless, like nothing is working, when you just feel powerless and like you cannot find your way out of the darkness. The good news is when we hit those periods which are really uncomfortable, it means we're about to pop through to another layer of consciousness. But guess what, y'all? The veil fights back. So this is what gives us that sensation that we're moving 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. It's because we're actually moving in layers. But when we hit these periods of extreme resistance, what happens is we're about to pop through to a new layer of consciousness. But we have to learn the lesson of that layer. And so that's what all of our resistance is showing us, where we still have density that we're holding on to. So if you find yourself in one of these periods of hopelessness, darkness, despair, and these happen multiple times, unfortunately, on our spiritual journey, this is not a one and done situation, so it's good to know how to approach them. Even if this isn't something that is happening to you right now, you will hit these periods on your spiritual journey. So what the P's encourage us to do when we hit these periods of intense resistance, and that is to use their favorite tool. And we talk about this all the time, that is pulling things into your heart. Because when we are just about to pop through to a new layer of consciousness, it is as if everything we have ever struggled with hits us in the face all at once. So this is not the time we want to be trying to create or manifest because we have a lot of active resistance in our field. So this instead is the time to collect your energy. And the P's have been talking recently about how our resistance is just our energy. It is energetic fuel, but it's energy that we are shining into something we don't want. So when we are going through one of these periods of darkness, one of the best ways that we can use this opportunity is to collect our energy. And the way to do this is to pull everything into your heart. And y'all, there are days when I am going through one of these layers where all I do all day long is pull things into my heart. Every thought, everything that my attention goes to, because when you have a lot of resistance active in your field, there's a lot of energy available to you as fuel. So when you find that your mind is on a tear, when your ego is being a gremlin, and every thought seems to be negative, seems to be worst case scenario, that is the time to collect your energy, to call it back to yourself, because we don't want to be trying to create or manifest from that energy. So it can be really tempting to us, especially if you are a spiritual overachiever. You know that as soon as you feel negative, you start talking positive, right? We start to think we need to be more spiritual when we are feeling bad. That's actually not the best use of these periods of resistance. The best way we can use this resistance and move through it quickly, because our goal is to pop through into the next level of consciousness. But we have to move through that membrane, which is going to push back on us. So one of the ways that we do this most easily is we don't want to fight the resistance. When we fight the resistance, which we tend to do because it just feels so bad, we're so uncomfortable. But what we actually want to do in these situations is pull everything into your heart. Use these as times of collecting your energy, because what you're seeing is the universe is just showing you where you are energetically supporting things that aren't part of your future timeline. So those are the things that the universe is saying, hey, you may want to pay attention over here. This thing can't go with you. So we want to use these opportunities of these times when we're feeling the darkness, feeling the despair, because we want to move through these periods of resistance as quickly as possible. The way we do that is we've got to collect the energy. So if you take these times where you are spending a couple hours, a couple days, and as we get ready to pop through to a new layer of consciousness, we can get stuck in that membrane. And that's when we're fighting the resistance. So the way that we release the resistance so that we can move through to that next level of consciousness is we've got to pull our energy back, right? You've got to collect everything that you're fighting against. And that's what's showing up as those negative manifestations. So if you pull all that energy back into your heart, and you may spend all day doing nothing but that. Y'all, I've had days recently where I had to pull every single thought into my heart because my mind was just being a monster. And every emotion that popped up was negative. Every thought that popped up was negative. Everything that crossed my path on social media was negative. And so what that told me was I was moving through a period of resistance. And so what you want to do then is you want to harvest the energy. Right? You don't want to fight it. You don't want to try to force your way through it. So pulling every single thought into your heart is the quickest way to move through these periods that feel hopeless. And every time you do this simple little tool of pulling something into your heart, which can be a thought, it can be an emotion, it can be something you're seeing in the world. Every time you do that, you are bringing back part of your energy that has split off from you. Every time you do this, you raise your vibration. Every time you pull something into your heart, you expand your energy field. So many things are happening as you pull things into your heart. You are pulling your energy back to you. You are feeding yourself by calling your energy back. What this does is it releases you from the resistance. You're not fighting it so much, and lets you pop through to the next layer of consciousness. Because if you fight it, if you let the mind play with it, which it will try to, you can keep yourself stuck in that veil for a really long time. And all that means is we haven't learned the lesson of that layer of consciousness. So what happens is the universe keeps us there longer. It's going to keep you there until you learn the lesson. And you learn the lesson when you remove your energy, when you get yourself out of resistance. And you do that by pulling it into your heart. And then the next step is to redirect it, right? You have to tell the universe what you want to create in its place. This is where it's so important to start working with your imagination, because y'all, we are in the thick right now of creating the new earth. We are literally recreating our reality in this moment. So it's very, very important to be telling the universe what you want, because if not, you're going to find yourself going into someone else's creation. And that didn't work out great for us in 3D. So let's not take that to the next level of our consciousness. But to do that, we have to step into our creator's shoes and tell the universe exactly, specifically, and repeatedly what it is we'd like to experience. That is how we re-architect the energy. As you do that, you will pop through that veil of consciousness to the next level, which means you will be out of that period of hopelessness and despair that creeps up on all of us from time to time. So I hope this helps you navigate some of these tricky energies and gives you a little different perspective if you're really kind of going through it right now. So that is what the P's wanted to share with you in today's POV. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.